back at you with your eyes and ears don't lie. Just had a few other things I was going to speak on. And one of them is, I don't know why everybody's so surprised or acting like they're surprised with this Elon Musk and Trump breakup. You got two imbeciles that have the most inflated egos history's ever seen, or some of the most inflated egos history's ever seen. So you got Trump, who a lot of people don't realize that before The Apprentice, he was about to go broke. He was about to go insolvent. So his money's always been funny. He's never been as wealthy as he's led people to believe. So he needed The Apprentice to put wealth back in his pocket. Just like he was getting ready to go broke and he wasn't liquid near anywhere the numbers that he's lied about when he went into politics and started running for the presidency. It's all been a money grab. Trump has made more off these fraudulent meme coins and exploiting the country and himself in the office than he's made his whole entire life. These last 8 to 10 years since he's been running and causing all this nonsense, he's inflated his wealth to a degree that he never saw when he was supposed to be this successful deal maker, deal man. This dude is a criminal. He's talked about how he lied on his first deals, commits bank fraud, defaults, never pays contractors, all kinds of stuff. There's nothing about him that could in any way identify him as a successful businessman. What he is a master of cheating, a master of working the system. Like a lot of these rich Americans, where the normal laws that apply to you and I, it don't apply to them once you get to a certain wealth. Why is it that the IRS audits middle-class people at a rate that you can't even compare to the wealthy? This ain't on accident. Like, a lot of people are believing that there's flaws in our government, that these mistakes are happening. This ain't a mistake. You got some brilliant people that are scheming and cheating the public. Trump just happens to be an idiot that's cheating the public, and he's got y'all drinking the Kool-Aid for a reason. It don't make no sense. You got a man who has said how many times that rich people shouldn't have to pay taxes because they're job creators. They always got somebody working for them. We're job creators. We shouldn't pay taxes. Okay, so this is for a lot of these red states, which typically are poorer, because you want to have no state taxes or less government intervention and whatnot, so you're not collecting money to operate your state. So when red states receive all this federal aid and everything, if rich people ain't supposed to pay taxes, and the poor that are below the income threshold to where you need to pay, who's left, you idiots? That's all of us normal middle-class people in that gap that have to shelter the burden of everyone else, while wealthy people skate on taxes. I remember reading an article where Elon Musk was crying, talking about on Twitter how he paid more taxes than anyone in history. He paid $11 billion in taxes, and he was angry about that. But you're not mentioning the fact that you're making more money than anybody in history. And when you look at the amount that it says he made that year, even at 11 billion, which are ungodly amounts, you make ungodly amounts. That wasn't even 10 or 12% of your income. So when you break it down, you got plumbers, you got teachers, you got police officers, you got people that are paying quadruple the percentage of what you're paying. And you complaining? And you from South Africa? You're not even American? And your legal status, you really are illegal. That's why it was funny when Steve Bannon said they should deport you. I've been saying that for years. Because when you look at, you came over here on a student visa. So how'd you start all these businesses and start making all this money? When you had a student visa, you weren't even legal to work here. But you get enough money, you grease the right palms, nobody cares. Or the people that do care are not in any kind of authoritative position to do anything about it. So let's fast forward past all the other stuff, how you didn't create Tesla, you got on board after it already existed. You didn't create PayPal, you got on board. You basically take ideas that already exist and try to improve them or just slap your name on them anyway. SpaceX, all you're doing is using existing technology that you're improving on. That's why your ship's blowing up. All you do is add more engines and things. There's nothing cutting edge. You made them bigger, added more engines to existing technology. And you suck at that. Blowing up every time you take off. But the Trump-Elon connection, we know what that was about. He could care less about politics. What he cares about is Elon Musk bought his way into the White House. And I mean, I hate the guy. I hate them both. And this ain't just because he became a politician or anything like that. I read articles back in 2010 and 11 where he talked about his love for the apartheid and been making racist comments. All you gotta do is give him a mic and he'll say something inflammatory and inappropriate. But he's been doing that for decades. But you're in the White House. Why do you buy your way into the White House? Because it allows you to get a hold of all the government's evidence against your companies and get rid of all those cases, which these federal investigations would have cost you way more than the $300 million you paid to lie and cheat and get Trump in office. Because there's definitely some election improprieties. A lot of stuff that don't add up when you look at the votes. And I'm not on all this conspiracy stuff, sore loser stuff, but when you look at some of the statistics and some of the votes, not only did they start voter suppression 18 months before the election even happened, you look at places where you got a Republican vote for a president, but you don't have a Republican vote for the rest of the state and local offices that you voted for. That don't make sense. The fact that he fought to invalidate 3 million votes from Democrats and minorities in areas where he knew he wouldn't win. So you fought with the courts to get him thrown out for stupid reasons, some legal, some not, but stuff that hadn't been done before. And another telling part about why the election doesn't seem to have went the way that they're alleging that it did is the fact that you still complaining and wanting to change election rules. If you won, why are you still complaining? It's not making a lot of sense. You won and you're still talking about how elections are rigged and aren't good and that you need to change these laws. Why are you making it so hard for people to vote? Are you afraid that people will wake up, even those 77 million buffoons that voted for you? There was some funny business going on. Transmitting election data through Starlink. But we're past that. And it's not like there's still nothing that can be done about the current status of the United States and what he's doing. But the people with the authority or the position to do that are cowards. And that's on both sides of the fence. I look at these numbers and I'm like, how is Trump still even, why is it a question of his support and stuff? People still supporting this dude in the 40s. Along party lines, a lot of these polls are showing him at like 49%. So even right now, after what he's done to the country, your supporters are still in the high 40s for you? With the economy? You guys are that racist and hateful that everything else he's doing to society, the country, is okay with y'all. Even tearing up your pockets. Because all this tariff stuff and all these things that he's doing with Musk, this is absolutely market manipulation in every way. And it basically lets people know the stock market is bullshit. You keep looking at the stock of Tesla and what it's doing, going up and down, and some of these other areas where the stock market is just going up and down based on a tweet, based on a post on Lie Social. It's ridiculous. Nothing is about companies' actual performance anymore. It's about the social media push and how you can convince society you got to have it or something. The same thing with Bitcoin. Yeah, if you got in early enough, oh, you balling if you held on to it. But it's basically the largest digital pyramid and Ponzi scheme you've ever seen in your life. Because it's only effective if you convince more people to hold it than to sell it. That's it. That's not currency at all. It's a digital Ponzi and pyramid scheme where early investors have to convince new people to buy it at a higher rate. And even if you bought it at a lower rate, you have to hold it. It has to be more inflow than outflow or it's worthless. And the ability to just create and make up these coins is outrageous. These meme coins that Trump created from Melania, you go back to the records and go back to what he was saying. Because a lot of people want to say fake news if it don't agree with him or his side of the coin. Nah, go back and listen to his own words. His own words out of his own mouth should be damaging enough to any reasonable, conscious person with morals. He talked about how crypto was the biggest scheme ever when he was running in 2016. And changed his mind because he was educated by these other criminals that are throwing money into, these financial criminals who are throwing money into his pocket, how easy it is to steal from the public with crypto. How easy it is to pump and dump crypto. Way easier than the stock market. So then he starts supporting crypto because he realized how you can get money from foreign adversaries, how you can get money from criminals in exchange for pardons, how they can enrich you with this personally. Because everything is about him. Only thing bigger than his racism and hate is his corruption and greed. Yes, he's rich, but he couldn't sit at the big boy tables in New York. Trump's little money, yeah, you richer than the public. But when it comes to these hedge fund dudes and these real businessmen out there in New York, he was a punk. You couldn't even get into the club to sit at the big boy table. You at Thanksgiving sitting at the kid table. And he's always hated that. Listen to him speak. So when you got this position of authority, you making more money now than you ever did. Just listen to what he said in the Oval Office when he said all these billionaires and all these rich people. Well, it's nothing to them. You still envious of them, and that's driving your stuff because you know you a loser. You ain't never been the man that you portrayed yourself as. And for someone to hate immigration so much, you wouldn't have no wife if you, your last couple wives were immigrants, and it's a question about whether they were legal or not. Because I'm seeing a lot of them saying Melania was over here working, doing modeling jobs without her paperwork. So by the same rules that you want to pick and choose to enforce, she should be deported. Just like Elon, where you want to throw this stuff out there when y'all have beef. How Elon want to talk about how you in the Epstein files. We all know you in the Epstein files. Didn't you appear on like 7 different flight logs? That's public record. So we knew you weren't going to release the Epstein tapes or any of the info. You were going to get control of the federal government and purge and destroy all the information. And I'm sure that's what you'll do. But for Musk, you know this dude's a pedophile, like we all do, because he said it himself, how you want to go voyeur at these damn underage girls in your pageants. Admitted to sexual battery, been found liable in sexual assault, and you're just a disgusting individual paying porn stars. And I'm not knocking the hustle. I mean, if that's what y'all do for a living, that don't make you a horrible person. But I say that because this shows you how grimy he is. You're supposed to be this rich billionaire and you still got to pay for it? Loser. But Musk, it ain't never been about the country. It ain't never been about saving no waste or nothing. Because if you were interested in saving waste, first thing you would have did was stop letting the president go play golf every weekend for $3 to $4 million a trip. Since that's what it costs to get the local government on for protection, to have the Secret Service travel, and all of these. $3 to $4 million every weekend every time you go play golf. Every time you go play golf. You ain't talking about that waste. You're talking about how this bill, the big beautiful bullshit, is going to increase the deficit. Yeah, it is. But you ain't talking about the $300 million he wants allocated to him being able to play golf. You ain't talking about all the contracts that you get from the government, which has made you the richest person in the world. Tesla wasn't even profitable without government subsidies. So the taxpayers have made you rich, not your ingenuity. You didn't start a business like regular people did, or you didn't join a business like regular people did that had to actually invest and build up from themselves with capital and compete with other companies based on business practices, products, and income. No, you went to the federal government and began broke off billions of dollars a year. All of your companies are not self-made. They might have been self-created, but they made by the American public. Billions of dollars in all of your companies. That's why when he got mad, what'd he say? I'm gonna cut your contracts. And then what'd you do? You punked out. Start deleting tweets and all that, being silent. So that's what's so funny. That tells you that you don't stand on nothing at all. No principles, no nothing. Just, I'm standing on money. And why you leave California? Because you got butthurt that they wouldn't let you run over some of the laws and things to continue to profit. Why'd you all of a sudden start standing against Democrats? Because you got mad because Biden decided that if you buy an EV through an American-made company who has a union, we'll give you $12,500 per vehicle instead of the $7,500 that everybody else was getting, that Tesla was getting. And he spent millions to fight against companies unionizing. So he got mad. You got butthurt. You got mad at Governor Newsom because he wouldn't give you tax breaks, and you left and went to Texas, which, how's that going for your company now? Because you guys moved to a right-to-work state, and your employees, oh, you finding out right now. The rules ain't the same out there in the right-to-work state. So he's exercising even more control with these illegal actions and pressure he putting on his employees to work you like dogs. Made it harder for shareholders to sue since he incorporated in Texas instead of Delaware. To where was it? Some crazy number where in order for you to sue for him not abiding by his fiduciary duty, you got to have like 30 billion in stock. So basically it's impossible to sue now. But you didn't leave for reasons that are not selfish. You want to get mad and throw a tantrum because you was probably off on whatever trip you was going through. The nerve of you to drop that Epstein comment on there, but you letting him walk around holding X's hand and all this other stuff. Man, y'all need to go somewhere with that. Y'all trash. Trash.